This lady isn't helpful anymore because she's sick. They're saying I won't be useful for cleaning the house. They talked about it when they thought I was asleep. My mother-in-law and husband decided to separate from me before things got worse. So while I was in the hospital, my husband divorced me. They left the house. But then they came back a few months later. They caused chaos when they found out the truth. My name is Sarah. I'm 31, and I've been dating Jack for 5 years. We were living with her parents, planning to buy our own house once we had a child. But it's been almost 2 years, and we still don't have a child. We're still living with her parents, along with my husband, his mother, and his younger brother. I became the center of attention because of this situation. My parents, who live far away and need flights to visit, always regretted not being able to help me. However, my husband has always been very caring towards me and had a good relationship with my mother-in-law. We were far from the typical conflicts between mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law. It seemed like those issues didn't apply to us. Everything changed when I had an accident and broke a bone. I was hospitalized and couldn't move on my own in the first few days after the accident. My husband and mother-in-law visited me daily, showing great concern. But now they only come once a week. I appreciated the visits, but everything changed after the doctor mentioned I could have permanent consequences. They didn't realize I was listening when they said, "She won't be able to do the housework anymore or anything like that. And it's still going to end up costing more than a wife who is no good for anything. She already has problems getting pregnant, so having children is even more unlikely now. Maybe it's even a good thing we don't have children. If she becomes permanently bedridden, I'll be the one who has to take care of everything at home. I didn't get married for this. It wasn't to do all the housework and take care of someone like that. If she hadn't suffered that accident, she could have continued being our domestic worker. What a frustration. If this becomes a bigger problem, it's better to get rid of her. You can leave. I'm going to divorce her as quickly as possible." They had this conversation at the foot of my hospital bed, thinking I was asleep. I came to the realization that to them, I was more than just an employee or caretaker. After this understanding, both my husband and mother-in-law started treating me with open coldness. My husband's visits became rare. He probably wouldn't even be around if we had a son. With time, his visits diminished even more, not even once a week. My mother-in-law's visits were sporadic, filled with unpleasant remarks whenever she did show up. On the bright side, my brother-in-law was incredibly supportive. He handled the laundry and checked on me regularly. He visited almost every day and even took me outside in my wheelchair when I felt suffocated by the long hospital stay. I often felt worn out from the physical therapy, and there were times when I wanted to give up. But I believe I've made it this far largely thanks to my brother-in-law. His presence has been crucial to my physical recovery. The therapy is going well, but it's still hard to tell if I'll have any permanent issues. When I shared news of my progress with my husband and mother-in-law, I overheard discouraging comments. "We should have gotten rid of her sooner," my husband remarked. Their reaction sparked an argument in front of me, showing their unawareness of the impact of their words. However, amidst their heated exchange, my brother-in-law defended me. He reminded them of the care I had provided for our house and father-in-law over the past 5 years. It all started when I began dating my husband, and they suggested we move in together to save money before marriage. They assured me it wouldn't infringe on our privacy or require rent payment, as long as I helped care for my father-in-law during the day while my mother-in-law worked part-time. So my brother-in-law and I teamed up to take care of my father-in-law at home. They shared a close bond, especially over his hobby of collecting antique furniture. He even owned a separate house dedicated to his collection, and my brother-in-law and I always enjoyed hearing about it. My father-in-law cherished his son Alex and cherished the time they spent together. Over time, his health declined, and despite years of care, he sadly passed away. After his father's death, my husband proposed to me, thanking me for always taking good care of him. "Let's continue together. Let's get married," he said. Despite all my efforts and dedication to household care, when I became unable to move, my husband, and mother-in-law treated me as if I was useless. When I finally regained mobility, I was furious and demanded resolution. My husband then proposed a solution. He offered me the house in exchange for settling our debts. He suggested dividing the property again. I was unsure if he would actually give me the house, but considering my father-in-law's considerable inheritance, which was divided between my mother-in-law, Sonia, and Alex, it seemed feasible. The inheritance amounted to approximately $20 million for each of us. Jack commissioned Alex to handle all the paperwork with the executor, which proved to be quite bothersome. They debated whether to donate the house as part of the division of property. My husband argued that it was just a big, impractical house in the countryside and suggested it wouldn't be a significant loss even considering its maximum value. He estimated it was worth about $1 million, plus various taxes that would be deducted upon selling. However, Jack was concerned about potential future demands from me and the spread of rumors in the neighborhood if they appeared to abandon me. They discussed what to do with me, and Jack suggested that Alex should take responsibility for me, his brother. But my husband questioned Alex's sudden interest, accusing him of becoming interested in me. Jack dismissed the idea, stating that I was no longer useful to them and shouldn't be asked to take both me and the house. "It's fine. I'll be back later," Jack said dismissively, adding, "Just hope you won't come asking for money later. Remember what I told you. I can't return damaged goods." Jack and Alex signed papers and arranged for the formal transfer of ownership through a lawyer. "I'll take some money from my savings," I responded. "Why don't you find a healthier, prettier, younger woman to marry and build a better house with?" Jack suggested to my husband. "Okay," my husband agreed. "Sarah, call a lawyer to start the divorce process." They quickly announced they would stay in a hotel for a while and left the room. Alex and I bid them goodbye silently. With Alex's help, I filed for divorce, and within a few days, Jack and I became complete strangers. A week later, Jack and my mother-in-law packed their belongings and left home. It was surprising that Alex, my brother-in-law, continued visiting. "Don't worry about it. I'm visiting because I want to," he assured me. We took care of each other and did housework together. We've talked more in these 7 years than you ever did with my brother. We're friends. His kind smile comforted me, and all I could do was express my gratitude. A month later, I was discharged from the hospital. Though I still needed physiotherapy, I felt relieved to be home after so long. "Do you think they'll really come back?" I asked Alex, worried they might return and make me work again. "If they come back, I'll push them away. I can't forgive them for treating you so badly. Besides, they have no right to return to this house," Alex reassured me. Since I couldn't move like before, Alex took care of most domestic tasks. Luckily, as a freelancer, I could work from home and contribute financially. With bi-weekly physiotherapy, I recovered smoothly, without any complications. A year later, I was back to living as before, collaborating with Alex on household tasks. We even synchronized our days off to travel together. Just when I thought our peaceful days would continue, a storm hit suddenly one night. While Alex and I were having dinner, the door was knocked repeatedly, and the intercom rang nervously. Sonia's voice came through, demanding to be let in. I hesitantly opened the door, and Jack entered without hesitation, demanding food. I refused to serve her, asking why she was here. She claimed she had spent all her money and was going to live here again. As my ex-husband approached me with disgusting familiarity, I felt a surge of revulsion. "That's why I divorced you. I don't care about you anymore," I snapped back. Jack then began insulting me just as her mother arrived. They both started acting as if they owned the place, making themselves at home. I threatened to call the police, but Jack argued that since the house was originally in her father's name, any agreements made were null and void. She demanded half of our savings, but I was shocked to hear that she had squandered everything on frivolous spending and investments I had no knowledge of. She even had debts amounting to $2,000. I refused to give her any money and called the police while Alex handled the situation calmly. It was astounding how bold Jack had become in just a year. Jack and her mother started wreaking havoc in the house, destroying precious furniture that held sentimental value for me. They laughed while causing the destruction, completely ignoring my pleas to stop. About 10 minutes later, when the police arrived, I explained the situation to them. "This is a disaster. Let's hear your side of the story," one of the officers said. "What's wrong with breaking things in my own house?" Jack retorted. "We're just getting rid of stuff we don't need. What's the problem?" Alex intervened, revealing that the house was actually in my name. "This house never belonged to these two. It's in Sarah's name," he explained. "What nonsense are you talking about? Before he died, our father-in-law left a will through a lawyer. He left everything to Alex," Sonia's mother chimed in. Upon hearing this, Jack and her mother were shocked. "So this isn't her property," Jack realized. "But wait, I'm her ex-husband. We're like family, so she has to forgive me," Sonia's ex-husband pleaded. "Don't make me laugh. You're a stranger now that you're an ex. I didn't even know you were in contact with another woman before our divorce was final. And you treated me like an employee," I countered. Jack tried to shift the blame onto her mother, claiming she influenced her actions. However, her mother revealed Sonia's failed attempts at relationships and business ventures, which left her in debt. Despite their previous condescending attitudes towards me, they both desperately pleaded for forgiveness, trying to avoid involving the police. "I won't forgive any of you. You were treating me like a servant until just now. Not leaving when I asked you to leave is illegal. And since the furniture collected by my late father-in-law is now mine, you'll need to compensate for that," I asserted. Jack and her mother begged me not to involve the police, fearing the consequences. "Wouldn't you want me to go to jail?" Jack asked. "I don't care. We're already divorced," I replied, unmoved by their pleas. I discovered that I was married to my brother-in-law, Alex, or rather, he was my ex-brother-in-law, and now he's my husband. Not even a year ago. "And you've already moved on to another man, my own brother no less," Jack explained. But Alex clarified, "It's not like that. I wouldn't give Sarah up, no matter how many times I asked her to." Jack was left speechless, unable to argue further. "I don't care anymore. I'm going to pay whatever it takes for the damages," my mother-in-law declared. When asked about the value of the furniture, I estimated it to be around $200,000. Despite their lack of interest, Jack and her mother were now responsible for compensating for the items they had broken. As they couldn't afford such compensation, the police took them away for trespassing and vandalism. I forgave them and moved forward with the process. Jack and her mother sought help from Alex, but he bluntly rejected them, stating, "I'm ashamed to be blood relatives with you." As for the house, my father-in-law had left instructions for me to sell it and use the money as I wished. Alex revealed that the house's actual value was around $500,000, much higher than what we had initially thought. While we planned to sell the land eventually, for now, we decided to take it easy at home, as per my father-in-law's wishes. Concerned about having children, I went for a checkup with a gynecologist after marrying Alex. Fortunately, there were no problems detected with either of us. Now that the troublemakers were gone, Alex and I are happily living together.